as we reflect on events that unfolded in 2023. In this episode of Green Angle, we revisit some stories that shaped the environment in the past year. Welcome. I am Esther Makwariola. We begin in Ondo State, where a coastal community, Aiyetoro, has been under threat due to sea incursion. Over 1,000 homes destroyed, with many rendered homeless. However, the Ondo State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission called on the government to investigate the contractors who abandoned a critical shoreline project.
It took us about 15 minutes to get to the sinking jetty in Aiyetoro, a riverine community in Ilaje, SL, the local government area of Ondo State.
That is our jetty over there. Now it is difficult for us to get to the jetty now because of the devastation effect of the sea incursion.
Close to 2 decades, the Ilaje people have waited for the construction of a shoreline protective wall. They are still waiting, this time with anger, pain and loss etched in their hearts. Reflecting on what remains of the happy city, residents watch as the historical settlement crumbles under the weight of the seas. The city, which was built in the 1940s, about 15 to 20 kilometers away from the seas, is now a shadow of itself.
Every day now, men and women will sleep where we see. So we are appealing. It is excruciating. It is painful. We are appealing to the federal government and all other relevant agencies to please, for crying out loud, to come to our aid. We don't have anywhere to go. This is our land.
Endless cry from these residents in Aiyetoro, a riverine community in Ondo State, is yet to get the attention of relevant authorities. While the government looks away, the community is gradually fading into the history books, with thousands already displaced by the ocean surge.
We have the low tide and the high tide. As it stands now, we're experiencing high tide. And this is high tide now. And it's within the range of 6 hours interval.
So it gets higher.
So it's higher than, in fact, in the next 1 hour now, we might not be able to stand where we are standing now.
The tide is high. It's a race against time for residents of Aiyetoro. What can they save? Where will they go with their families? It's difficult for most of them to dismantle buildings they erected with love and sweat. But if they don't, the sea that was once their friend will destroy the buildings and take the lands as its own. Fishing is one of the major occupations for people in this community. But the raging sea has not only displaced the old from their homes and children from their schools, it has taken away their source of livelihood. With the fading hope among residents and fears of Aiyetoro going into extinction, we met with an elderly woman who was leaving the community. She says the daily struggle led to her losing a finger. She admitted that her days are numbered, but appealed to the government to come to their aid. These communities are hanging onto the last thread of hope.
Shoreline protection contracts was awarded in 2004 by NDDC. Mobilization was paid, nothing was done. Re-awarded in 2009, mobilization paid, and nothing has been done. It means that the experts emphasize these issues as far back as 2004, but nothing has been done. And it's not just Aiyetoro alone now, we're talking of the entire race with their livelihood. For me, relocating them is not even an option. Doing nothing is not an option as well. Leaving them to their fate is even a bad option.
There is no body of government that's responsible for ecosystem, ecology, environment, Senate, House. There is none of them that has not been here. But they come, they pity our condition, they make promises, and they go.
Members of the current board of the Niger Delta Development Commission arrived at the community of Aiyetoro to assess the devastating impact of sea incursion. The NDDC team has promised to work tirelessly to find a permanent solution to this environmental challenge. As part of their efforts to alleviate the effects of the ocean surge on the community, the team presented relief materials to the victims. However, the people of Aiyetoro are demanding a permanent solution to this problem, which is threatening to displace them from their ancestral home.
Next, we take you to Makoko, a waterfront community in Lagos, facing a daily challenge of waste management and water crisis.
Water is a basic human right, but for millions of people around the world, it is a luxury. In many parts of the world, people struggle every day to access clean water and sanitation, a necessity that many take for granted, but for those affected by the water crisis, it is a daily challenge.
Makoko, a waterfront community in Lagos, Nigeria, struggles with access to clean water due to poor quality and high prices. With a population of about 100,000, residents here face health risks from contaminated water sources.
Most of the waste generated from this community finds its way into the lagoon, which makes it unsafe for consumption and other domestic uses. Mary, a mother of two with another on the way, tells me she spends more than she can afford buying water from vendors, making it a luxury that many cannot afford. She, like many others here, want a situation where they don't have to depend on the contaminated water to meet other domestic needs.
Yeah, we don't get water. To use water na problem. But we dey find person wey go give us water. But before we use water, if light today, 125 liter is 1,000. If light no dey, we no go see water.
The situation in Makoko is made worse by the fact that there are no proper sanitation facilities in the area. Many here practice open defecation, which leads to the contamination of water and possible spread of diseases.
There are baby canals outside when it's raining, so they open them and they flourish into the community. So that have been affecting the water. If you look at the water very well, the water is dirty. And when it's raining, when they open those baby canals outside, those things flourish into the community, and it's really making this water to look dirty.
Millions of people around the world lack access to clean water and sanitation, which poses a significant threat to their health and well-being. Governments, civil society organizations and private individuals are working to improve access to clean water in vulnerable communities around the world. In Lagos, the government has partnered with different stakeholders to improve investment in infrastructure and technologies that would enhance access to clean and safe water.
The government on its own has actually embarked on building a large water treatment works, which is the second Adion water treatment works. Adion is a 70 million gallons a day water treatment facility.
You have agencies that actually provide drinking water to rural and semi-rural areas across the state.
The lack of access to clean water is a global crisis that threatens the health and well-being of millions of people around the world. Therefore, collaborative efforts are encouraged to be the key to improving access to clean water in vulnerable communities and creating a healthier and more equitable world for everyone.
And from there to Ogijo in Ogun State, where a community still faces an ongoing environmental crisis. Pollution from metal recycling companies is not only affecting residents' health, but also impacting their livelihoods. Join us as we unveil the truth behind their struggle for clean air and a promising future.
It has become a regular sight along Lagos-Abeokuta Highway. Polluted skies from the emissions of recycling companies along Ogijo in Ogun State. For nearly a decade, communities here have endured this pollution, and it's taken a toll on their health.
We are suffering. We are suffering here, but we are trying to manage ourselves.
In this area, you will see some people coughing. They cough out dust. Now, because if you wake up in the midnight, you will see because it was in the night that they used to open their funnel. That everywhere, because they know in the afternoon people will be at home. But when you are asleep, they will open their funnel. Then everything will come out. So you cannot even open your window.
A lot of our chairman, I think a lot of people are collecting money or whatever from them. That is why to fi dàbí ẹni pé wọn ò jẹ́ ká rí ọ̀rọ̀ sọ. Ẹ bá wọn company really ń bẹ̀ yẹn. Wọn ò ṣerú pálapàla tó ń ṣe, wọ́n tọ́jú gbogbo àwọn ará àdúgbò wọn ò dẹ̀ fẹ́ fi báyé wọn jẹ́. Àwọn kan ló wà ní other side lọ́hùn yẹn. Ẹ wo bọ́n ṣe ṣe gbogbo àdúgbò wọn níbẹ̀. Wọn ò dẹ̀ fẹ́ fi báyé wọn jẹ́ níbẹ̀ yẹn.
One of the steel recycling companies tried to help by building a well. It also built this clinic, but it wasn't functional when we visited.
When I have issue with my health, I normally go to Ogijo. And Ogijo is far from here.
Some locals say these companies go as far as giving bread and milk as a makeshift solution to ease the health risks.
Behind me, you can see the level of air pollution in this environment, and even though it is risky, some residents here still sell their wares, and even vendors sell very close to these foundries just because they need the money. They don't have many other ways to make a living, so they feel like they have no choice.
The smoke is affecting business. It's affecting even me also. That's why I don't used to allow my baby to stay here. So I'll send them home. Immediately they came back from school, I will send them home.
Some areas, like in Ikeja, the people live side by side with the companies operating because these companies obey the Federal Environmental Protection Agency regulations. The guidelines for control of pollution and emission from their respective factories, they are there. But it appears these companies are not obeying the guidelines.
But how sincere is government in reducing carbon emissions?
We are making progress. For example, when you hear importation of CNG cars or buses and other. But on the other area, we are polluting the environment, contributing immensely. It's just like, penny wise, pound foolish. If a comprehensive study is carried out within this corridor, especially between the Lagos to that Ogun State axis, where you now have concentration of industries that are not complying to emission standards, then you'll find out that, yes, to a large extent, they're impacting on our climate change commitment.
The future remains uncertain as pollution persists, while promises of change linger. The story of Ogijo serves as a stark reminder that there is much work to be done to safeguard the well-being of the people and the environment.
Still on the recap of stories for the year 2023, residents of Isheri North in Ogun State experienced a sudden flood when the gates of Ogun Dam opened unexpectedly, forcing many to leave their homes. A situation that also got the attention of both the state and the federal authorities.
Outside the estate, everything seems fine. But a few steps in, the situation takes a different turn. Many properties are now submerged by the rising waters near the Ogun River.
This was a main passageway now overtaken by water released from Ogun Dam in Ogun State. Residents here have been sacked from their homes, prompting them to take shelter in hotels or with family as the situation remains unpleasant.
2019, I spent 2 months in the hotel, running up to 500,000 naira. Where do I get such money now at this present economy? I can't go to resettlement to do what? Government will forget you there. Are we IDP? Are we fighting war? No. This is our entitlement. We belong to this country. We belong to this state. We are paying rents. We are paying tenement rents. They should listen to us, come to our aids. We are not animals. Even animals are being taken care of.
The only alternative for transportation is canoes, which are insufficient to serve the entire community. Many patiently wait for their turn to leave their waterlogged homes or wade through the floods with their belongings on their heads.
This estate, for instance, they are retirees, people who have served their fatherland. They shouldn't be put through this. A lot of them are in their late 60s, early 70s. They have done their bit. This is their rest time. You don't put them through this.
Others who have yet to leave are putting in every effort to keep the water at bay. Mr. Ajibade spends approximately 10,000 naira, which is around $12 daily, just to pump flood waters out of his home.
Everybody in this environment is so bitter with the entire Ogun State government. We are bitter with federal government that this is a recurring thing on a yearly basis. For how many years now that we could not find a solution to a simple issue to allow people to stay and stay comfortably? What is the essence of government, for God's sake, if you cannot protect the inhabitants of the people? We all voted thinking that there was going to be a change, and this is the change we have.
The government should come and take care of this canal. Wherever this water is coming out from, they have the capacity, they have the tenacity to do something that will ease off this punishment. I call it punishment because they know what to do.
In the meantime, the Lagos State government revealed it is working with Ogun River Basin Authority to manage the release of water from the dam. It is also working on improving its flood prediction and early warning systems.
Some areas are wetlands. Otherwise, people should not be living on wetland. It's the hard truth. Let us speak it. You should not build on a wetland. But if we choose to enforce the way it should be enforced, we shall evacuate them. But the human side of it is what we are doing.
Right now, the government has approved that we do a study of the entire basin. So the study will tell us, okay, what's volume of water in this entire basin between Lagos and Ogun State. So once the study is done, it will delineate what needs to be done, land that's available, and the necessary infrastructures to provide.
Other top government officials, including the Ogun State Governor, Dakwa Abiodun, also paid a visit to the state for an on-the-spot assessment.
I can say that under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and with the full support of our governor, the governor of Ogun State, we will find a permanent solution to this problem.
We have gone to other states, and we have visited Ogun now, and we have seen what has happened and has been happening. We are believing that by the grace of God, a solution has come.
We're going to now have a committee of us as government and yourselves, and also the federal government, so that you also have representatives in that committee that is taking a decision on what we're going to be doing here.
However, resolving this environmental challenge demands more than just verbal commitments, penalties, and warnings. It requires strict adherence to town planning rules and the establishment of resilient infrastructure to adapt to this unique situation.
And finally, the global community rallied together on World Environment Day under the theme Solutions to Plastic Pollution, marked by the campaign hashtag Beat Plastic Pollution. It was a moment to raise awareness, take action and advocate for sustainable solutions in the face of the escalating challenge of plastic waste. plastic pollution has reached alarming levels, threatening ecosystems and endangering marine life. On this World Environment Day, individuals, communities and organizations are joining forces to address this growing concern. In communities around the world, a group of passionate activists are sounding the alarm about the devastating impact of plastic waste. Their tireless efforts inspire others to adopt more environmentally friendly practices. Today, we'll meet one of such activists who is making a significant difference in Nigeria. Meet Doinsola Ogunye, a visionary leader and founder of a recycling scheme that empowers women and youth through the collection, aggregation and recycling of plastic waste.
I've always had a passion ever since 2009 when I actually started recycling in Lagos to empower women and youth using resources like recyclable materials which would have gotten into our waterways, in our drainages and places that should not be. So with Resoye, we're creating a value system for women and youth. We're creating jobs and we want them to have sustainable wealth through materials like plastic because that's what's polluting our environment.
Through her initiative called the Recycling Scheme for Women and Youth Empowerment, Doinsola and her team have already made a significant impact. They have moved nearly 200 tons of plastic waste from waterways, saving countless marine species from harm, and provided economic support to more than 3,000 women, giving them a chance at a better future.
Resoye focuses on empowerment and we empower people in different ways. We upskill people. So for example, we go to communities where they don't even know how to use the computer. We teach them digital skills so that they can even document the plastic that they are taking out of the community. We teach them how to use plastic as a resource. So we do upskilling and upcycling of plastic with them as well. We teach people how to use plastics to make things they use in their homes, from flower vases, to things you can use in your kitchen and things like that, and even toys for the children. So this way people see recycling and people see upskilling as part of the culture of their home and their living space as well. We don't only do that, we've created a kilo currency where people see plastic and they see value. So every time we scale the plastic, we give you a kilogram, actually a voucher, what you can use to actually get things from our farms, for example, from our supermarkets, for example. So the face value of plastic, you're already seeing currency.
Dedicated to empowering women and promoting sustainable practices, more than 4,000 women from 41 communities have already registered in the buyback program, turning waste into income and embracing sustainable living.
We also have something called the Resoye Care Kit, where we reach out to women in estates to say if you give us a particular amount of plastic, for example, if you give us a 10 kg worth of plastic, instead of throwing it in your bin, that plastic can be used to provide sanitary towels, to provide soaps and different care and hygiene materials for people that can't afford it. We're also creating a cooperative where women of similar interests can come together and then bring their plastics to us. And if it's, for example, they want to be able to pay school fees of their children, we're able to do that for them using that platform. So in as much as they are picking plastic, they're also being financially empowered. They understand the basics of accounting and they understand that this is actually a business.
One of the major obstacles in plastic waste management is the absence of societal structures that discourage harmful behaviors towards the environment or encourage protective actions. Doinsola emphasizes the importance of organizing orientation and awareness campaigns to highlight the long and short-term effects of our treatment of the environment.
I went to a particular village, and in that village, they actually thought that if you take your plastics and you throw it in the ocean, the god of the ocean will clean it up for you. Encouraging them to see a different way that they can use the plastic and they can dispose their plastics other than burying it or throwing it away has been a huge challenge, because what you're doing is you are breaking a paradigm. We're encouraging the community leaders, the bales and the KBACs in the communities to help us reach out to the people in the community so that they can understand that cleanliness is next to godliness as well.
And that's about it on this week's edition of Green Angle. Until I come your way next time, remember, together we can build a sustainable world. I am Esther Mokwariola. Bye for now. As we reflect on events that shaped... Ready? Okay. Still on a recap of stories in the year 2023, residents of Ikosi... Ready? And that's about it. Let me be walking while before I talk. Okay, tell me again. The rapidly growing African continent of more than 1.3 billion people is losing about 5%. Still fast. And that's about it on this week's edition of Green Angle. Until I come your way next time, remember, together we can build a sustainable world. I am Esther Mokwariola. Bye for now.